Hey, what's up everyone? It's Lucas, and today we got the iPhone 13 mini, something Apple decided to not carry forward with in the 14th generation, which I'm not exactly too sure why, because people were supposed to be loving this phone, as you only get tiny trade-offs. But Apple did it anyway, and you get nearly all these same features and specs in the 13, just in a smaller form factor. Since the iPhone 13 mini and the iPhone 13 is essentially a predecessor to the iPhone 14. The mini may still be a viable option in 2023 and maybe even moving into 2024. The build quality is quite nice and it feels very premium and dense, just a very solid phone. The screen is made from corner glass. It has a glass back made with the same material as the front screen. But I do find it does pick up a lot of fingerprints and grease. It has a matte aluminum frame, which is really nice, and it gives it a nice boxy look, which is personally my favorite. And I don't really like the curved edges which we are typically seeing on some of the models. Now personally, I'm more inclined to the larger phones like the Max models, but you do gotta give credit where credit is due. So they both come in these same color options: red, starlight, midnight blue, pink, and green. Although unfortunately, we do not get the fancy colors that the Pro models have with a nice matte finish. So let's dive into the device, and it's quite impressive how Apple managed to keep all of these spec features, practically all of them, in this smaller form factor. The screen is a Super Retina XDR display, a 5.4-inch all OLED display, which matches the regular 13 screen in terms of specs. The visuals are vibrant, colors pop, and the viewing angles are absolutely excellent. It also has the 800 nits max brightness and a 1200 nits peak brightness, which helps on those sunny days when it's really hard to see your phone. But I still do find when the sun is beaming directly on the phone, it is hard to see, but if you go into the shade or it's a bit cloudy, then you have no problems. This is a pretty decent improvement from the iPhone 12 mini, which had a max brightness of 625 nits. Although I must say the bezels are quite noticeable, especially paired with the smaller notch display, which really cuts down on the actual screen size when you're watching full screen videos, which really sucks, as just the screen is really shrunk down even more than it already is. But I guess it's about these small improvements, and what do you expect? The phone is small. I just wish they could maybe maximize a little bit more of the screen real estate when in that full screen mode. So personally, I find the screen a little bit too small, and almost like the regular 13 may just be the sweet spot for specific tasks, like reading emails, sending texts, or just doing typical Google searches. So in my week of testing, my fingers would quite often hit the wrong keys, and my friends that actually own this phone have the same problem, but they do say you get used to it. This could just be because I'm used to the bigger phones like the iPhone Max, but it's definitely worth noting. It's also worth noting that the screen is locked at 60 Hz, a feature that is typically found in the more expensive models, but should really just become a standard in the coming years. This means that the battery life is going to suffer since it won't be able to adapt to the lower refresh rate when necessary. It also looks worse, of course, because you don't have the 120 Hz buttery smooth screen. Like I was saying earlier, the iPhone 13 mini and the regular 13 are almost identical, and under the hood, they are almost matching in every department. So this little guide runs on an A15 Bionic chip, which is both fast and efficient just like the regular iPhone 13. And the processing speed is very impressive with the combination of the improved battery from the 12 mini and the new A15 Bionic chip. So the iPhone 14 Pro comes with the A16 Bionic chip, which is only slightly better than the A15 Bionic chip, with just a 7% increase of CPU speed. However, you won't really feel a significant difference in terms of speed. It is equipped with a 6-core CPU and a 4-core GPU, which interestingly matches the regular iPhone 13 and 14, with the latter only having one more GPU core. So there are just slight improvements, nothing too major. But with the nice top of the line chip and the new battery life, heavy duty tasks do feel quite nice, and just interacting with the phone in general is very quick, speedy, nothing really takes a long time at all. So speaking about the heavier duty battery, this is one of the biggest changes and obviously one of the biggest improvements from the 12 mini, as it has a 15% larger capacity coming from its little brother, which is significantly noticeable. So I would get around 6 to 7 hours max without charging throughout the day, But on this day, I managed to get 8 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time. And considering that the phone could fit in the palm of your hand and just slip into your pocket, this is very, very impressive. And you don't have to worry about the phone dying on you throughout the day and having to carry around a charger. It should be able to last you the whole day with heavy to moderate use and maybe even inch into the next day. So there's no surprise that this thing weighs 4.97 ounces, which you can compare it to a deck of cards, which is extremely light. I don't even notice the thing in my hand or even in my pocket. I don't have to worry about it falling into my pockets like I do with the larger Maxes or even just the regular sized phones. It is just really nice being able to pull the phone into your pocket one-handed, take a high quality photo, or just start a video. It's those little things. Speaking about a quick photo, the camera is very impressive. So the 13th generation of iPhones received major upgrades in terms of the camera departments from the previous iPhone 12s. And they practically match the iPhone 14. And it's not just a gimmick. There's a noticeable difference in both the camera quality and the amount of features. But first, let's focus on the camera quality. With these new sensors, the Mini is doing an exceptional job at capturing more light, leading to a quicker shutter speed and crisper images, especially in dim lit environments. But there is always a but, especially when talking about the cameras. There is luminance, noise on the primary and ultra-wide cameras, especially in low light, which is quite noticeable. There are also some issues like flare, slight ringing, and color problems, making it less ideal for capturing detailed shots from medium to long range zoom. And I do definitely find when you start to zoom in at all, the camera quality significantly drops, and rather shooting it to 0.5 or just 0.1 regular is much better. But overall, just speaking about the camera, it is incredibly high quality, especially for packing in to this tiny frame. So you're able to shoot in 4K, and while shooting in 4K, the video quality remains impressive, and the stabilization is on point. However, I did expect a more noticeable difference with the new sensor shift stabilization, but in practice it seems to perform similar to the iPhone 12 mini. So you're able to shoot at 4K at 24 FPS, 30 FPS, and 60 FPS, and you get those same formats in the 1080p option. Nonetheless, where it shines is in those low light conditions and also those very bright conditions. That increased shutter speed results to more clarity and less blur in your shots. On the slightly less exciting note, I did notice some unwanted glare in the nighttime videos. It is something that happens with many smartphones, but I was really hoping for some more improvements in this area. But overall, the camera system is still top of the line, and you're definitely not missing out on anything with this smaller form factor. To sum it up, the iPhone 13 mini is a great option for someone who prefers a smaller, compact device without sacrificing extreme amounts of performance. Yes, you do have that smaller screen, you do have that smaller battery, but coming from the iPhone 12 mini to the 13 mini, the battery life is significantly improved, and you don't have to worry about this thing dying on you throughout the day, which was people's biggest complaints about the iPhone 12 mini. But obviously, if you want the bigger screen, you're not going to be getting that with this little guy. And also, if you want those more advanced, higher quality camera features, then yes, opt for the regular 13 or the Pro models. But the camera and video quality are still absolutely excellent. And honestly, this thing is more portable for capturing those, intense shots when you just gotta whip out your phone. If you whip out your phone and you got that iPhone Pro Max, you might be throwing that big thing. The iPhone 13 mini is a solid, powerful device. I really wish they continued it, but unfortunately, Apple does their own thing, and they didn't. So I hope you guys liked the video. Subscribe, please, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.